Right, we're doing the subnetting mastery assignment. This is my second time recording this. Something happened to my first video. For some reason, it didn't save. So I'm just going through this again quickly. So the first question to ask, what are the 7 elements of a subnetting question and what do they mean? I have the first 7 steps, or first 7 elements of a subnetting question right here. So you have network ID, your first ID, last ID, broadcast ID, next network, group ID, and subnet mask. Your cheat sheet here. So what you're going to do in order to create this, you start it from the right. You start with 1, and then you double it to 2, and then you double it to 2, you get 4, you double 4, you get 8, and then all the way over to 128. And then to get this second row here, what you're going to do is do 256 subtracted by 1, you get 255, subtracted by 2, you get 254, and so on. And then that's how you get this second row. And then these are going to be your octets right here. So the first example I had was 215.225.83176/26. So what you do, you find with the 26, you get that there, and then you go up, you start at 0.64 and you work your way up until you pass this IP address. Once you pass that IP address, which is right here, you get your network ID and your next network ID. And you just fill in that information here. And then once you fill that in, to get your first ID, you add 1 to your network ID. And then you subtract 2 from your next network ID to get your last ID. And then you subtract 1 to get your broadcast ID. Right here, it's 64 is the group that we're in. So it's showing that we have 64 IP addresses. Whatever. And then your subnet mask is 192 right here, and that's how you find that. Second example that we have is 156.206.216.111/28. And I have that one put in right here. So going through the steps that we walked through on the first example, we did the same thing. So went through here until I got in between the last IP on here, or last octet, I should say. So that is between 112 and 0.96, so your network ID is going to be 0.96. Next network is going to be 112. You can see that right there. In order to get your first ID, you add 1 to that 96, you get 97. How I do it to get your last ID, I just subtract 2 from your next network, and you get the 110. You subtract 1 from there, and you get your broadcast ID. Once again, that group ID sits within the 64, so you have 64 IP addresses and subnet mask 192. And then just looking at that, if you check the work, it's all correct. And that's how you use the cheat sheet to figure out subnet questions.